It is like the craziest thing I've ever experienced. And I've experienced a lot of crazy things. Calm down and commit to a process and then just don't give up.
Note
You
to
know?
everyone out there, listen to your intuition because
Yeah.
shit don't lie.
I think our kids are going to grow up, hopefully, normalizing all the shit we never did. If people knew what it was like here, no one would be afraid of dying.
Welcome to the Hot Flash Health Podcast, where we're dishing out unfiltered truths about menopause with a side of sass and a little sprinkle of crass. Get ready to dive into the wild world of hot flashes, mood swings, and all the other joys of being a queenager. Now, this ain't your grandma's podcast. We're here to chat about our bodies, our passions, our fears, and desires while navigating the roller coaster ride of menopause. So grab a glass of wine or three. Kick back and let's ride this flash wave together. I'm Courtney Mamusha, alongside as my fabulous co-host, Dawn Fable. We're just two outspoken gals who aren't afraid to say it like it is. And because menopause is just another chapter in the book of life, we're here to help you write it your way. Now let's kick off today's episode. Dawn, why don't you go ahead and introduce today's amazing guest?
The unicorn extraordinaire. I was trying to come up with a description or a bio for you, and the first thing that came to mind was really a unicorn extraordinaire. So we'll dive into why you are, in fact, got that
So
nickname.
sweet.
But Lindsey has been a very, very dear friend of mine, one of my closest friends in the past several years, and has such a crazy, cool history. She is a female entrepreneur, an actor, a singer, ran successful Pure Bars, is an expert in the fitness industry. She's an actor, she's a singer, she's a mother of two beautiful twins who I know very well. And most recently, through a very personal experience, she has had a calling of really entering into a more spiritual journey part of her life and channeling her energy for others in the form of being a clairvoyant and energy healer. So Linz, love you. We've been through so much together in the past two
Love
years,
you.
and it just feels like pure magic to have the three of us in one room. So welcome and thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you guys so much. I'm so honored and so excited to be here. I love you both and been watching your podcast and just super proud to that you thought of me. So
Amazing.
honored.
We're excited.
Well,
Yay.
so tell us, first and foremost, how in the hell did you get this nickname, Unicorn Extraordinaire? Because you're this woman of, many talents. Like, tell us a little bit about you.
I feel like a queen. Thank you. What an amazing title. I would probably say, and I'm laughing a little bit. I mean, I've done a lot of different things. I always had interest in very different things from each other. Growing up, I played the piano, I was a dancer, I played soccer. So soccer and dance always, like the arts were very big for me. And it kind of like in life clashed a little bit. But on top of that, like, oh my gosh, I feel like I was in runners club and I sang choir and then I was in the children's chorale and then so all these different facets of my childhood that kind of fed different loves. And then kind of getting into college and living with girlfriends in college. I mean, I had so many different jobs. I was an actress, I was a dancer. I mean, I was a belly dancer at one point. I was a bartender for a long time. And I guess I'm the fourth of four girls, the youngest. So I always say I feel like I have little slices of their personality and then just like a whole lot of mine. So I don't know. And that leading into kind of my career world, I was an actress for 12 years in LA and did like film and TV and, completely die hard, all in, balls in, like pursued that career. Thought that was going to be my life forever and had a million odd jobs on the side just to be afloat, right? Had some success here and there. And then got my dance kind of background. I taught Pilates for 8 years. I had a reformer in my living room. I ran a small business of that where I would train. Just strangely, some celebrities came onto my plate in LA. And then it just, it kind of moved into deciding to leave LA at the drop of a hat, moving back home to Colorado, where I'm from, and pursuing some businesses, right, in fitness. So I guess the unicorn comes from just lots of different horns and hats, like so many different hats that I have worn. I feel like I thrive the more I have on my plate, usually. And I feel fulfilled by, going to one club over here with completely different people and then pursuing like an art over here with completely different people. I just feel like it fills my bucket. So, and saying extraordinaire is very kind. I mean, I'm like, that one came from you. That was so nice. I'd like to say I've done a lot of things well, not everything by any means, nor is that possible. But yeah, I'm just lots of different facets, I'd say. So, and in the business world, I was in, owned my own businesses, ran them for 13 years. Lots of employees, lots of 20-year-old women in my life employing. I think I've experienced almost a lot of different things. So that's fun.
I have to say, I'm super grateful that you taught me how to do the splits again, because attending your
Yes.
flasses at Pure Barre, I used to go there all the time, and not only did I get a tight ass, but really like my legs spread
Yeah.
further
You
open.
could do some serious splits and a tight ass. That's all
Yeah,
you
it's
want.
been great.
And on the fitness note, it is like I've taught bar forever, but also just like Pilates and like kind of non-impact strength stuff is it's really important as we get older too. It's so important for our bodies in this age group and moving forward to not only walk or do something. It's really important to keep your muscles and your joints like and your ass really tight.
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of dive into, I know a lot of us are, I've been an entrepreneur. Obviously, we chatted before the call of my business, and,
Yeah.
kind of now jumping into Hot Flash Health with Dawn, which is amazing. It's been such a transition. But talk to me a little bit about, owning your own Pure Barre empire to now channeling your energy in a different way. Like what is that? How did that journey kind of come up, and like what sparked this great transition for you?
Yeah. I mean, I would say having some strong intuition has always been a part of me being an actress and a dancer, music, um, hiring people, teaching people. It's been something that I just never quite defined as a thing, that I have always had a lot of strong pull from in my life. I sold my studios. It'll be 2 years this like in a week that I've sold all of them and kind of got out of. COVID was also really tricky with the Pure Bars. So navigating getting out of that, right? And I absolutely love, for me, moving my body and using my body is kind of part of how I process information. So I feel a lot of like, just like today, I did a little workout on just a bike and I get a lot of messages on my workout. So when I move my body, I feel like it's my tool to kind of open up and like clear and just move. Like all I ever think about is how in a pond and sitting water, there's just bacteria just sits, right? But if you flow it through, it's going to always flush and flush it out. And life is always giving us so many things to flush, right?
Yeah.
And to process. So I think in a weird way, I mean, it also through, I've had a pause, right? So I've had about 2 years of just really focusing on my kids and kind of figuring out what is next. And my father just passed away 2 months ago. And he has just been a huge vehicle of like where things would get stronger. And he was also sick 3 years ago, pretty severely, like brain infection sick. It was really challenging. And that's when I would also start just get like feeling like what he was feeling. I would start connecting with his stuff. I felt like I truly knew exactly what he wanted and was thinking, but a lot of times he couldn't express that. And so, along with therapy, I found this woman who, it's actually a really crazy story. Side note, really fast. I have a girlfriend who lost her husband. She's one of my best friends, and she was at one of her son's basketball games, and her husband had passed away. And this like stranger, who was a mom from the team that she didn't know, walked up to her and said, I know this sounds really weird. I don't know you, but I work with this woman named Rachel, and your husband came through my session. And so I need to tell you to go see this woman because he had a lot to say. And once she started telling me about who it was that was talking, I realized just by hearing about that it was probably you. So my girlfriend went to this woman and had this life-changing, healing, like cathartic kind of closure session with her. And I was like, sign me up, because I've always been I've been drawn to spiritual people. I've met with several clairvoyants and healers, and Rebecca Rosen, I've seen her, and my sister as well, one of my sisters. So I've always been drawn to it, but I started working with this woman and using her kind of as like my spiritual therapist, really. I mean, lots of my family was there and had a lot to say to me, my deceased family, and just really, different focuses of life where I was just feeling like it's never direct information, like it's going to be like this. It's a lot of vague pushes, and they can change, but it's nice, I think, sometimes in your life to get that nudge where you need it, or a little bit of maybe like the focus turns to the left because you just don't know which way to go, you
Yeah.
know? And so I started working, just seeing her, paying her. And then around my dad's stuff, she was like, you need to work with me. She was like, you're like crazy open. There's so many things going on when you're in here, and I know you can do what I'm doing. It's actually really obvious. So then I had a few classes with her, and she's the sweetest thing. And then in our second class, she was like, so you can read people. Like, do you know that? And I was like, what? She was like, you can. Like, so it kind of flowed into that. And not just through the end, because I could like really, I don't know, it was weird. Like I knew when he had leukemia and he had AML, and he was in control, and I just had these, like, I would drive him to the hospital, and I knew he was going to tell me he was done with blood. Chemo didn't work, so he was just kind of keeping himself alive through blood transfusions for as long as he could. And I just knew, I was like, it makes me emotional. I just knew when he was done before he said it, and it was so powerful. And then you know, just being there, like at the end, even like this huge osprey like flew like almost on the window, like the minutes before he passed away. And I'm just so connected to these different things, and it just became really strong. And then the second he left, I felt him in a fucking tennis match of all places. It makes me laugh. I was playing tennis. I was like, oh my God. Oh, come on now. Yeah, it was so weird. Yeah, I think that experience, and my aunt has passed away. My friend's husband, who is close to us, he's like my spiritual, like, next door neighbor. I mean, he's always around. He's always knocking on my door. We talk like pals all the time. And it's funny because I just didn't realize like how visceral and real it was. I think, like you said, especially women, we have this strong intuition inside of us. It's that gut feeling. It sounds so cliche, but it's so true.
Yeah.
And a lot of us are conditioned in our society and in our own insecurities to just ignore it. You know what I mean? You just like, so I think it gave me a little bit of like validation of this is so big. And this woman I had met, she kind of like coached me through his death. And that's when she was like, I mean, and she's like, I'm learning from her. She's kind of my mentor. She's been doing this for 20 years. And she was like, yeah, this is a real thing. You definitely should come work with me, So I think through him, I mean, I hear my aunt, I hear my friends, Joe, he talks to me all the time. Like, but you're kind of like, oh, this is normal, right? Like, I guess everybody has this, is what I thought it was.
I'm kind of curious too. Like we mentioned this too, but I lost my father almost 3 years ago, and then my mother a year ago. It's been a lot for me.
So sorry.
Thank you. But one of the things that I finally saw was, like, I was expecting to feel my father. I too am very open spiritually and all of those fun things, but it took a while. And I would say like maybe a week after he passed, I went downstairs. It was like 4 a.m. or something. I let my dog out, just felt this like overwhelming peace. I came back inside. I looked at our like microwave, that has a time, and it said 444. So it must have been later before. I wasn't down there for 44 minutes, but it said 444. And I was like, that's weird. And, I let the dog in, kind of like locked everything up, went upstairs, and I looked at my phone and it said 444 still. And it was definitely cold. Yeah. So for me, and I kind of want to talk about the signs, but
I mean, that's it. That's real.
Yeah. And so
it's 100% real.
Yeah. And probably every day still, I'll look at the clock and it'll be like 11:11 or 1:11 or 4:44. So I take those things as he's still
Messages.
there. Yeah. Like messages.
And he wants to say hi. That's him saying hi.
Yeah.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1234 is my aunt's.
See,
so it's weird. I
was going to say it's almost 1, 2. It was 1, 2, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit about, you're talking about animals and other signs. So maybe can you share with us like some of your learnings for those of us who are dealing with loss and needing some inspiration?
Grieving. I didn't really talk about this earlier with you guys, but grieving is so crazy. It is like the craziest thing I've ever experienced. And I've experienced a lot of crazy things. I feel like it is so, and you hear this and you read about it and then you experience it. And it's like things are so calm. And then, I mean, this is literal, by the way. Butterflies, birds are huge for me. My son's name is Hawk for a reason, but like birds are huge to me. They always have been huge to me. Like they have tons of spiritual symbolism, a lot of different ones. Um, but lately, and I know it's like butterfly season, but they're everywhere. And I was kind of feeling this like chill, like I'm fine. Like I've got this grief shit. Like I can do this. Like today's a good normal day. And I walked outside and a butterfly whacked me in the forehead. I swear to God. And I was like, and then I just started to cry. I was like, I don't
I'm
have
wearing
this.
butterflies on my shirt. Look at that.
Oh my God. So there was, this is really crazy. It's giving me, so this morning I went out, I went out to my oak tree this morning to have my coffee. That's where I sit. And they're all the yellow. I mean, I think they're monarchs, aren't they? They might have a different Colorado name, but that's what they look like. That I can't, I see like 8 a day. Like it's a lot. And I walked out today and I kind of was trying to meditate a little bit this morning to get, I don't know, just get open and prepared for this. And there was one stuck in the ground right by my foot and it was dead. And it was really beautiful though. It wasn't sad. It was just like there. And I was like, this is kind of too weird. Like they're just everywhere right now. So nature to me, butterflies to me, maybe that was your, I feel like it could have been your dad saying hello.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Hi, Dad.
And like birds, you know, my dad, few minutes before he passed away, they live up in kind of Castle Pines where there's big windows and they're kind of on a ridge. This huge osprey, huge. My sister and I were standing in the living room. It like its belly like scaled the window like this. And then it left. And we were both like, holy shit. And he died like a few minutes later. And I truly know that was someone coming to get him or him about to go. I saw a bald eagle the day before he died in our neighborhood. And then at his service, um, it rained. We were it was all outside. It rained. We were like worried that it was, you know, and then all of a sudden the sun came out. I sang a song, Sunshine on My Shoulders, which was weird because the sun was coming out and then there was hawks just circling the service. So it gives me so much peace is what I guess I'm also trying to say is like, and Dawn, you have a thing with dimes. I remember you telling me from the past, like all of those things, like depending on I love this platform because you guys are obviously into this, but obviously there's some people who are just not, and they're going to be closed to it. But I mean, those are real. They are totally real. And a lot of times it'll be like, that's just weird. Like that butterfly today, he was on the ground, like butterflies fly, right? So I was just like, why? And then I was like, somebody, you know, and I had connected to you a little. I don't know you, Courtney, and I kind of felt like it was somebody for you, but it's everywhere. And it's also, I think the more you let it in and the more that you're like, yeah, like it's going to keep coming. And then it becomes more like normal than just like, that's weird. You know, it's funny because I'm just bringing tennis into the mix because Donna and I have played tennis together for a long time. I had a session with my girl, Rachel, and tennis came up, like we were goofing around and she was like, do not, she was like, you're so open right now. Like, don't talk to those women very much and don't look them in the eye that much because one of them, that's what she told me. She was like, one of them has a lot of stuff going on and you're going to start taking it all on while you're playing and you're going to lose if you do that. So she was like, I'm serious. Like, don't engage with them all that much and don't look at them until after the match because you're going to, like she's a full empath. Like like the way she cleanses energy is that she takes it on and feels it and then clears it out of her own body. I definitely am an empath and that's getting stronger, but like, and then I did lose that tennis match and I swear to God, I was like, damn it. And then I was just not myself. And and she was like, that will happen to you often. You have to kind of like, there's a bunch of meditations that I learned that are opening, like body scanning if you have an injury or if something's off or you feel off, but also to kind of shut it down a little bit. So it's not, and I don't walk around and have a million things going on. I feel like I meditate and then I just see what comes out in these reading, like cards, you know what I mean? But like, and that's new for me, but I do think there's some more like kind of meditations that can help ground you and open you up. And it's not like Swahili or a weird language. It's just pretty straightforward and just being really rooted into the ground and like, closing your eyes and sometimes reaching out to the people that talk to me, like today, I'll be completely honest. I did a little meditation. My dad absolutely was like, I'm here. Hi, boo. I'm here. And I was like, well, I'm gonna need you later, so hang around. And then I see this like almost like the Matrix kind of Star Warsy light stuff that connects like my heart to his heart in the sky and like in the universe. And it's like these things come into my mind and I'm like, well, that's normal. And it's like, it's not fucking normal. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's like this whole like zing, zing, bing, 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 like, and I'm like, oh, okay. I have also, I was going to say before I kind of, my girlfriends who've known me as well, Dawn, have always said, like the ones who grew up with me, they're like, anytime I would go against my gut and my feeling, something would go south. And usually my businesses and my decisions that way, like I would keep someone on too long who I knew. And, you know, we all do that. We all do that. But like sometimes it was like, oh, God, that was so the wrong choice, you know, and I knew it was the wrong choice. But I also, I guess in my past, like there was a house, I've had a few people like actually come visit me and I had no idea what was going on. We rented a house, my husband and I, in Inglewood, like on South Pennsylvania Street before we got married. We got engaged there and it was such a weird house. And I remember one night waking up like crying because I know this sounds crazy, but there was this woman on top of me, like this far away from me, who was really old and really mean. And I woke up and she was like in my face. And I was like, holy shit. Like I just had never, and then I was like, that was a dream. That was a total dream. Like it was not a dream because she came back a few times and the basement of that house, something weird happened there. Like it was a weird house. And
Yeah.
so that was an experience like that where I told a few people and they're like, well, yeah, that happens, you know?
Yeah.
I also had another experience a few years later where I went to a funeral for a friend of Brad's that I didn't know. I was just going to support Brad. And it was a young mom with a 1-year-old who died of breast cancer. It was extremely sad. I did not know this woman. I did not know her husband. It was a very big funeral. And I was sitting in this chair and I felt her sit in the aisle, like she walked over and sat, like kneeled next to me. And I was like at her own funeral. And then I went home and I know she followed me home and she was like kind of so distraught and I couldn't sleep. She kept coming next to my bedside. And I'm not necessarily seeing her, but I know
You
she's
feel the
there.
energy. Yeah.
Yeah, and it got to a point where I had to actually ask her to go away. It was too much for me, and I was like crying, and I actually told Brad, I was like, "Do you feel comfortable telling your friend that she might have a message for him?" Because, and that's what Rachel's like. Well, of course she found you because she knows you're open, and she did have something to say, you know. And so I had to kind of. It was hard because it was so sad, you know. And her child was crying for her at the service. It's just so sad. Um, And so that one, I was like really kind and was like, oh my gosh, please let me know. And then she never came back. So those were like things that happened before I ever really kind of put it into more fruit. Like, okay, this could be a reality. You know what I mean? And then just with my dad, I mean, it's just when something's so close, like he was my person, that experience, as shitty and hard and sad as it is, was so beautiful and just so powerful. I mean, there was just no doubt. Like, there is no doubt that he's like here. You know what I mean? It's just weird. It's like, I don't have any questions about where he went.
Where he's going. He'll be around.
Yeah, where he's going and what he's doing next. Apparently he wants to come back as a baby soon. And he processed everything really fast.
That's
where he is. And he's super like, he's, you know,
he's ready to come back.
He said soon, but he said if people knew what it was like here, no one would be afraid of dying.
Yeah. That's good to know.
And with grief, it helps.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking a lot about grief, and I think women our age historically are probably going to be going through a lot of this, right? We're middle-aged women. We're dealing with, you know, aging parents. A lot of us have.
I love the sandwich generation. I love that. Yeah. It's so true. Yeah.
So the sandwich generation is where we are. Like, how do you balance, you know, caring for your aging parents and being a mother and raising young kids? I mean, we're all kind of dealing with that. I have my own strategies, but I know you took 2 years off to be with your kids, and then you're dealing with this. Like, how have you kind of balanced everything and found the energy to find this new path forward?
I feel like this is like healing me. You know what I mean? I'm so open with my kids. I mean, I told them everything that was going on, even when he was alive. I just feel like the more open you can be. I mean, my mom is here and she is struggling, of course. It's really challenging. I don't know. I don't know if I have the answers for that. I just, my daughter, like I'm trying to teach them how to grieve. Like she came out of nowhere. She came up to me and just started crying yesterday. They haven't had a lot of, my twins are 9. They haven't had a lot of tears. You know what I mean? They did the day. So I'm trying to just say this, let's make this normal. You know what I mean? Feeling this. A lot of people suppress the feelings, and especially in our age generation with the stress of a parent, because them generationally, at least in my experience, they're a lot different than I am. So, my dad was 80, my mom's 78, I'm 44. And I feel like generationally, the way they grew up is I'm very open and want to talk about it all and my mom doesn't. And so it's hard to help her with her grief when she doesn't want to talk or really open up about it. And then I feel like for my kids, all I can do is just be as open and honest as I can be, because I think our kids are going to grow up, I mean, hopefully normalizing all the shit we never did. You know what I mean? So isn't that the goal? I hope.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
goal.
I mean, that's the part
Sorry.
of what our age group. I know. And it's something that I will say, sure is a big for me. And I'm sure, like when your parent dies, like somebody so close to you, and you're just like, oh, like we are all gonna die. Like all of us are going to die. Like, and I had a few phases of that where I was not even down about it. I mean, it's sad, but it's like, it's hard to express until you go through it. And it's not a club I wish people to be in, right? But we all will be in this club.
Yeah.
So it straight up sucks and it's really messy. I mean, it's not pretty, it's not graceful. There's pieces of it that are, I think, and for me, that were really beautiful and peaceful. But I do think it's all pretty messy emotionally, because it's
Yeah.
not something that you're prepared for.
Amen.
I mean, there's some people I've met, and I don't know if you guys have had this, where I would walk, I just was like, nope, and just was like, no, like strangers, of course, like that is not a good person,
Mm.
and I don't even want to walk by them. I think running your business, being a mom, trying to be a partner, a friend, dealing with a lot of other women, like it's so easy to, like I said, just kind of let whatever you're feeling and to just go to the wayside. And so, I mean, I would say one of my friends said one of the best things ever about employees to me. If you don't want to if you can't sit on a bus for 2 or 3 hours next to your staff, they shouldn't be on your bus. And I was like, I love that, because I mean, if already in that bus there's going to be turmoil, like that person shouldn't be on your bus. And it's hard to stick to that, because maybe she can teach more on Tuesdays and Thursdays and the other girls can. We need 9:30. And I mean, you're always bending the rules. But I think if you have an opportunity to stick to truly like people who actually add something to your day or also care about you, it's like when you're running businesses, I felt a lot like you're taking the short end of the stick a lot. It's like you're kind of getting kicked to the curb, but you're working harder than anyone. And you're actually looking out for these people and giving them the benefit of the doubt and trying to get them paid. But a lot of times it felt like they kind of thought I was a bitch. And I was like, you have no idea what I'm doing for you. And I think that just comes with also being a female boss, in my opinion, with women. And then, I think people who actually care share a little bit of like, how are you? Act like, something happened. Like my dad was sick before I had the studios, and it was a shit show. And he was like in memory care, and then he ended up having an infection, and we didn't know what to do with him. And it was really scary. And I was a disaster, and I was running 3 studios, and I mean, only a few women would ask me how I was. And those people were people I would hire again. I don't know. It's someone who shows you that they actually care. It's kind of uncommon,
Yeah.
especially like you're walking, whatever your job is, you're walking and you're clocking and you're doing the work, you're doing the thing. I mean, it's so easy for us to all just work and focus on work. But I mean, even just someone who's like, hey, how are you? And means it. It's like, I think it's so simple.
Being authentic. Yeah.
Yes.
It's hard. I mean, obviously you've talked a lot about fitness. I've taken your classes and you have a rockin' body. So hello,
Oh,
whatever you're doing
thanks.
is working. I mean, a lot of us women, we're having hormonal changes. We're going through like different times of life. maybe talk about some of the like tips and tricks you've learned for, helping women, and like what are the kind of some of the common mistakes you've seen and how can we avoid those?
I mean, my biggest thing is always just allow and trust either the or a process. Like, unfortunately, we are all wired, especially with body image shit and it's just, you're so wired to be like, freak out about something that doesn't feel right and immediately try. It's like, I truly, I mean, if that is more of like a mantra or a meditation or something that I would tell any woman out there. And I always would tell people like, Pure Barre was hard. And the classes I do teach that even aren't Pure Barre are really hard, but like, they're actually quite easy to follow and they are very result driven, which is what we want, right? So it's like, yeah, you're like, Dawn, you're sore the next day. Like in my businesses, I used to say, listen, you're going to live in the sore zone for 2 weeks unless you give it a go. Give it a real go for 2 weeks. Come at least 3 times a week, especially get it in your body, get it in your muscles, get it in your mind, get it in your, like your expectations. You know what you're doing. You feel more comfortable. It's not as intimidating. And if you can do that, I promise you'll be like a lifer here. And it happened all the time. Like, but a lot of, it's just, if you try something and if it's hard, whether you know it or not, I mean, hard in a good way, right? If you're leaving and you're sore the next day in areas and you feel like, holy shit, I'm tired. That is what will get you stronger, right? So you want to be attracted to that and find a way. I always say, give it 2 weeks. Get anything 2 weeks. Like 2 weeks is actually not that much time. It's like, it feels like it could be, but, or if you're cleansing or you want to get, hey, clean up your diet here and there, but give yourself 2 weeks to settle into it, but give it a go. And then you can always redirect or reassess after that. But usually if you're happy with what's going on and you did give it a go for 2 weeks, you're going to be in a really good place and you're going to see changes and you're going to get stronger. And we all want results of either physically or mentally or in life. So I don't know. I think that's just the beginning of a process. It's hard. It's hard for women. It's hard.
Immediate. We want immediate fixes. Yeah.
Everyone, totally. I mean, it's just the way, and it's true. And that's always been my main jam. I mean, I don't have like a formula or a secret that, I just think in general, whatever the goal is, like going in once and twice and then leaving, unless you hate it and it sucked and it's dangerous, you know what I mean? And you really didn't jive, of course, don't go back. But if you found something that you're like, I think I could really get into this for a minute, you have to actually put it on to try it on, but also that works for you.
That's a process.
Yeah. I have no judgment against that. And I have no judgment against, I just think going from like these women or these concepts of this quick diet, then to this quick diet, then you're fucking up your body. And I'm not saying that about Ozempic. I'm saying that about food because you're teaching or like a certain way to eat. Instead, you're actually counterproductively creating a mess because your hormones are going to go crazy. At least if you're on Ozempic, you're doing something consistently. Your body now is used to it. You know what to expect. You've had some results. I don't see anything wrong with that. You know what I mean? It's positive. That's what you need. Great. Hell yeah. I think with our bodies changing and hormones changing, I mean, all of us have a million friends that are like, I'm doing all the same things and I'm like gaining water. You know what I mean? It's okay. Mix it up a little, like try something completely different is what I would say. And maybe it's not only what you eat, it's sometimes when you're eating or not only what workout you're doing. Then sometimes you need a walk in the morning and a thing at night. You just need to mix it up in your body a little and see where you are then. Sometimes it's just hard because our bodies get stuck. Or obviously get some holistic help or get some like hormone therapy. I think just giving up is the biggest mistake. Just don't give up. Like, I mean, it's the easier thing to do is to give up. But it's like, that's why I think that's 2 week thing. It's always been my preach because you're over a week, you're under a month. It's very manageable. You'll see something if it comes through, most likely. And just don't give up on it, And that's it. Like, or people will come in and they'll try it. They love it. They know it's hard. And they're like, I just need to go home and think about it, And it's like, why not just pull the trigger? Just commit, I mean, it's hard. It's so hard it's so easy to say and so hard to do, but I would just say, don't give up. I mean, and it's so easy to feel defeated. I feel like females, we like birth people, we carry people and we mother people and there are all these people on us all the time. And it's just kind of like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just, and whether they're older or younger, we had like monkeys on us. And it's just, it's so easy to feel the first thing is your body and unappreciate it.
Yeah.
And that's also what I say about the process is like, if I know I'm in a space I don't love feeling physically, I have to remind myself it is a process of some type to make a change. You know, it cannot happen quickly. You can get some results and then you're like, cool, you got a carrot. So you can like, but don't give up on that because it's just, and no matter what your body type is, like, I think that's our lesson of we're trying now and with our girls and is just like, there's nothing you can do the second you make a realization. So just calm down and commit to a process and then just don't give up. I don't know.
I love the pep talk. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Now kind of moving back into like where you're moving yourself with your career. Let's talk about, what a typical session might look like with you for channeling or energy healing so people might be able to contact you.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, this is publicly very new for me and I'm really starting to navigate and acclimate to what is actually going on in here because it's not a like direct linear clear message often, but I think, and I haven't really kind of journeyed this yet. I mean, what my mentor says is she's like, you could just do a bunch like card readings, which there's a lot more to people think cards and oracle cards and tarot cards, and it's just like what the card says. It actually isn't that at all. It's like, this is the way I've learned is like when you're moving the cards and shuffling them and touching them and you've already meditated to be open. So it's not a lot of these cards that I've just been playing around with. It's not like what the message says. It's more of what you're getting for that like energy of the card, right? So it usually has a very big, beautiful illustrated something on it. And so I think I need to start small because I don't, I think other things hopefully will grow. And I mean, the woman I've learned from has been doing this for 20 years. And I don't even know if this ends up just being like a little corner of my house that I do this on the side for fun and with friends. And sure, you can pay me for it, but like, I don't know, but I think it would be more like we sit down. Usually people have a reason they want a reading. I had to pull back a little because it was all like coming through so quick and hot. And I was, I'm at a concert at Red Rocks with friends that I don't know all that well. And they're probably really like, oh my God, this lady, she's a bird lady and she's a spirit lady. And she is like, what is she talking about? You know what I mean? I was like, okay, Lindsay, reel that in a little bit just to I think people would probably want a reading that are looking for something. There's usually like a relationship issue or a death or a message or a career is usually the main things why people I truly think come, and like having an intention and then sitting down and just pulling some cards and kind of seeing what comes through from the people for them and my people is what it would look like. I think we'd probably do cards mostly, unless I like had the, I don't know, instinct to do something else at this point.
Yes, let's all hook up together. It's always fun.
Yeah, I've never actually done one over a computer. I've only done it in person so far, but
there you go. More reason to get together.
Yeah. But John, just to say to your point too, I mean, there's no, especially when you get rocked with someone close to you dying or a huge career change or also a career change that you didn't want, right? Like that people go through. I mean, it is discombobulating in general. I mean, I feel very similar to you. This is an avenue I want to explore. I mean, I still have other like what real career, like am I going to have? Like I still think of those things too. I think this is the age where it seems kind of common because you usually did a big chapter really well. I don't know. It feels like you crushed it for a while in something, and it probably is time for that to end. You know what I mean? Not all those things should last all that like forever. And then it's like, well, shit, now what? That was my identity. And then, having kids in the mix, it's easy to get distracted. And then like months go by and, it's so common in our age, I think, or even butterflies for kids sometimes, I actually just was about to have that same conversation with my kids. You always want to check in. Kids are getting older, play dates all over the town. Dawn and I have kids running in and out of our houses all the time. And so sometimes it's nice to just kind of check in with them on like values and make sure what they remember is, one of our core values, and how do you need to talk to me about that? You know what I mean? And so if something were to arise or something did, or it's like hard because I feel like you keep checking in, and it is that. I mean, kids are way more open than adult humans are. They're closer to that side than we are. They came from there not long ago, so I feel like sometimes they're like my daughter Harlow. I would probably trust her intuition over mine sometimes. I think it's so strong. I don't know if she can articulate it all the time, but they have it.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And I
Yeah.
knew that. And it's funny because that one and it was a great opportunity, but I remember having that feeling and not really listening to it either then. And COVID came like 9 months later. So
note to everyone out there, listen to your intuition, because shit don't lie.
Yeah. and don't lie.
And don't
tell
lie.
the truth. Be authentic.
Well, thank you so much, Lindsey. I'm going to say that's a wrap
guys.
on today's podcast. We really appreciate your time and your stories. And believe me, I know what grief is like. So if you ever need somebody to talk to, I'm like a professional at it, I feel like these days.
Yeah.
We're excited for your new journey, and we're here to support.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. I love it. You guys, thanks so much. It was so fun.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Hot Flash Health, and stream and subscribe to our podcast. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. So share your thoughts, your feelings, and just remember, everyone, to stay sassy, stay fabulous, and keep those hot flashes in check. Bye, everyone.
I love that. Awesome.